We all know India is a mobile-centric telecom market, and for us to cater for all of this growth in smartphones and the applications that's demanded from that, it's really important to get the network right. And on the network side, one area that India needs to really invest on is the access and aggregation side of it. We believe over the next 24 to 36 months, access and aggregation is where most of the investment is going to be focused on. Let me give you a couple of statistics. Today, India has about 450,000 base stations, mobile base stations. And based on the forecast given by the top 3 operators in the country, by 2020, in less than 24 months to 36 months, they plan to build overall some 850,000 base stations. That's almost doubling the number of base stations over a short span of 2 years. Operators, we estimate they'll spend somewhere between $1.5 billion to $2 billion in this endeavor. And the other interesting thing is in India, there's only 15% of the base stations got fiber access. So we also see a huge amount of investments going into increasing the fiber access to these base stations. So in this whole journey of increasing the number of base stations, which will be fundamental for the Indian telecom growth, we believe operators have to take into account a number of key design principles when doing that. We see 4 things that's critical in building these access aggregation networks. One is having the right layer 3 transport infrastructure from your base stations until you get to the core metros. Number 2, we see a strong convergence between optical and packet. In India, fiber is expensive, laying fiber is expensive, right of way is very difficult to get. So you need to use every strand of fiber you have in the access networks. For that, you need to incorporate DWDM optics into the access networks. That's your second building block. Third is disaggregation. We see it hasn't quite been done in India yet, particularly in the access networks. We see a strong opportunity for disaggregating hardware from software and virtualizing some of that. And then the fourth building block would be control and orchestration. When you're rolling out 400,000 base stations, imagine the number of elements that you will be deploying in various parts of the country. So in order to better manage that, you really need to have a strong controlling and orchestration types of software. So we see those 4 things really fundamental to get this access networks right. Yeah, we clear with our the space that we're going to be playing in. We play a role in connecting networks. We start from access networks, aggregation, metro core, long distance network, all the way to submarine networks. That is where we see our play. Of course, we're bringing in a lot of new elements into this whole proposition by making sure end-to-end circuit provisioning is done in a seamless way, automation, and also really making these networks from access to core networks more adaptive. How do the networks self-heal? How do they self-adapt to the changing environments? Right. So that's where we see our role. Ciena is at the moment, Ciena's got the #1 market share in India in the space of transport, including access aggregation and long distance. Ciena India is the largest, rather fastest growing market for Ciena Global. I mean, we've been in India for over 12 years now. In Gurgaon, we have a significant facility in Sector 32. We've just recently doubled the size of it. We have about 1,500 employees in the country. In fact, Gurgaon is the largest R&D facility for Ciena outside North America, so we continue to expand on that. And in addition to that, we've also got lots of testing and interworking facilities. It helps our large Indian customers to conduct most of their interworking and testing activities within the country. And in addition to that, we're also starting local repair and returns as well as local manufacturing in the coming quarters, which we think is going to help us keep up with the growth in this country. Absolutely, we continue to ramp up. In fact, like I said, we're the #1 provider right now. So again, in order to keep up with the growth, we'll be continuing our investment here. We supply to all telcos in the country today.